Happy Monday. I hope all is well, y'all. Driving to work. And I just figured it out. I just have to have a talk. My daily chats with y'all while I'm driving. I am paying attention to all you know, all the laws. But yeah, I just wanted to say, wish everyone a happy belated Mother's Day. Um, For some of us, it was a beautiful Mother's Day. For some of us, wasn't quite as beautiful. It was like because our mothers have, passed on. So I give my condolences out to those who have. Oh my God, love the safety, right? Um, for all those whose moms have passed on. Okay, and I just want to encourage you today that although your mom is not here, I'm sending my prayers out because it's hard. It's hard, and I hate to, come on and be sad because in my heart, in my spirit, I feel a healing taking place. I heal. I feel my help taking place. I am getting to the point in my life that I have a sense of peace about my mother being gone, you know, and making her transition. I know that she's at peace. I know that she is with the Lord, but for some, it still may be difficult. So I just wanted to let you know that my hearts and prayers are with you during this time. And, truth be told, it may not ever be at a point where it's a happy time because everybody's celebrating their mothers and yours is not here. But this weekend I had a chance to spend the whole weekend with my sisters, and we just had a beautiful time. We weren't talking, we shared how we felt about this Mother's Day and everything, but overall we had a beautiful time. So when you're grieving, it's not good for you to be alone. Try to do something or find an activity that you may do that may bring you a spill of happiness. Okay, but this is not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about real quick the DL Whisper. So this is a content creator. He's a a male, a gay male who is outing the DL community. So I wanted to know how y'all felt about that because while if please follow me on TikTok. It's Unchurched Talk with the T, and my name is Auntie Bay at Unchurched Talk. You'll see my face. But anyway, I was, I made a post, so I guess I was in my feelings. We all do rants if you're a content creator. But I was like, why is the the black um heterosexual so enraged with his content? Okay, this is a male that has been with the down low men, right? So there he's saying, this is women want to know how we don't know how do we know that somebody is DL, right? So the majority of his content is just saying, if a person do this, if a person do that, then they're down low, right? So the straight man was saying, how I was like, well, why are you guys so triggered? This is not about you. It's about us as heterosexual women being able to tell if somebody is down low because evidently we're not noticing, right? Our discernment have not kicked in because many women are getting involved with down low men, right? And you be into your marriage 10 years and 5 years, 20 years, and then you find out that your mate is down low. Then that's very discouraging, very traumatizing, very triggering. So I'm like, well, how in the world, I'm sorry, how in the world Can you tell? So, and I'm in my mind, I was like, why are you guys so triggered? It's not like, a woman wakes up one day and says, I want to be involved with a download man. I want to be involved with a cheater. So, in this video, some of the comments, some of the, straight men were saying that's why y'all lonely and all this down because y'all stupid and everything like that. But if a person come into a relationship and they lie, you know what I'm saying? They lie and they're not truthful about who. I'm sorry, y'all. This camera is crazy. They're not truthful about who they are. People lie every day. So you can't blame a woman for being involved. That's like blaming a woman for being involved with somebody that cheat on her. You can't control nobody's actions. People come into a relationship, lying all the time. People are not who they say they are, right? So to blame a woman and say, oh, she should know why, no. Sometimes you can know because there are some people who are sociopaths. They're very good at lying, at pretending, right? And a lot of times we women find ourselves involved with people not that are, you find, and this is not nothing new. This is something that have been, I'm in a red light, y'all. This is something that has been around for years where you find women in relationships and men are in a relationship and they find themselves um in a relationship married to a man and he got a family across town. Now granted, some women get involved with people like that, but some people don't know. Some people are blindsided, and then so a man lie to you, and you catch feelings for them, and you marry them, or you become invested, or you fall in love. Now we all know when you fall in love, you can't tell the emotion of love. Okay, don't love this person no more. Love doesn't work like that. So, you may find out things about somebody, but your heart may still love them. So, the answer to finding out if these who these men are is not to downgrade a woman for choosing, because 9 times out of 10 she didn't choose him, he chose her. All the while knowing that he was down low. So then you have heterosexual males, angry with the DL Whisper and his content. And I'm like, why? Why are you mad at this man? Now, let me give you a backstory. He say that he used to mess with down low men, right? So I was on TikTok, and so I made the video. So it was these two guys, and I'm so thankful because oh my god, y'all, this camera is just crazy. But I was talking with these two guys, and it seemed like at the beginning we were going back and forth, and I was just saying, um why wouldn't you want a woman to know? Why are you taking it personal? Because now, if you look at the content, the guy was like, if a guy goes to the gym all the time and he's with a male all the time and he spends more time with his friends than you, 9 times out of 10 he's DL. Or if they, and some of the things made sense, but then so the male, they were saying, how can you? They was asking me, how can you believe somebody that is not straight? How could they be an expert on somebody who, on a DL man, because a DL man is pretending, right? He's pretending. So 9 times out of 10, his friends may not know that he's gay, right? So he's trying to mingle in and fit in all the while, not really the person who he is who he is, not just with his you know, his partner, but also with his friends. Nobody knows that he is a gay male, and for some reason, he doesn't want to come out. So I'm like, why wouldn't you want your aunt? This could be somebody. I'm sorry, y'all. This camera is crazy. Somebody that you know, right? So y'all, it was crazy. It was crazy, and I was just like, really? I was like, what's the big deal? He's not saying anything about straight men, but they were saying no. You know, how you gonna believe somebody like that, because they could have ulterior motives. Why? He was saying. One of the guys was saying he's not doing anything but pandering, and pandering, is, making profit off a woman's hurt, right? Just like you got Derek Jackson, who, he was basically pandering because he was exactly the person who he was explaining to be. And I was like, wait, well, maybe, they didn't be making some sense. So they was like, you got to take what he say with a grain of salt, because this was the guys that I was talking to. They was like, you gotta take what he's saying with a grain of salt. But to say everything that a straight male does is gay is very offensive, and it's very insulting, because that doesn't mean that you're gay. You know what I'm saying? These DL men, they camouflage themselves, with the straight community. So then, I was like, well, maybe I could, maybe I'm starting to see. And they took, instead of saying, oh, you stupid, they took a lot of time to explain to me, because I was like, I really want to know. I really don't understand why you guys, find that this is offensive to the heterosexual, black males. And they were saying that, everything that we do is gay. And they were saying, women could weaponize his content towards straight men. So I'm like, okay, we're going down a rabbit hole. I'm like, okay, I didn't think of that. Just for instance, if you're involved with me as being a woman, if I'm involved with my partner and he does something that the DL Whisper said that was gay, then all of a sudden I'm like, what you doing is gay. A lot of us women, we be like, why are you acting so sassy? You know what I'm saying? And that is weaponizing, weaponizing somebody's content towards somebody because they behave a certain way. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand now, because men don't all act the same, right? Some men were raised by their women, and I'm not saying these men are being effeminate, but if you were raised by women, you have a certain awareness of women, right? You have a certain knowledge about what women do. You may take care of yourself. That doesn't mean that you're gay. That doesn't mean, that just means that you know how to take care of yourself because your mama taught you how to take care of yourself. She taught you how to wipe. She taught you how to, keep your hygiene up. So that doesn't mean that you're gay, right? So I was like, oh, okay. And I was just so grateful to have a conversation with two men, and we weren't arguing, but we were really talking about things, because I admit I don't understand what men do because I'm not a man. So in order for me to understand what men do, I got to talk to a straight man. A gay man can't tell me nothing about no straight man, because um he's not straight. He is a part of the gay community. So you can't tell me nothing about no man and manhood and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was telling them, you have to, we as women, we want to know. So, you know, these conversations are good. They are good. Well, in terms of the content, it prompts us to have conversations with straight men because women are traumatized, and that's the reason why a lot of us choose to date, not to date, and to be single, and really we don't be giving nobody the time of day because we're afraid. You know what I'm saying? We're afraid that somebody may be gay. So it's like that it's scary out here. You listen to your girlfriends and they say they was married and now you found out that your husband is gay, or in this long term relationship and all of a sudden a man tell you now that he likes men, or that he's a pansexual or something like that where he's attracted to both. It's traumatizing to a woman, you know. So at this point, I'm like, this is what I was saying to them. I said, well, if anything, it's going to force us to be prayerful about who we choose. You know what I'm saying? We have to really be prayerful about and give it time, because I truly believe that when you give a lot of times we as women taking some accountability, we rush into relationships. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you've been in a relationship for out of a relationship for a long time. It's like everything is new, but no, you got to slow it down. You got to give it time. You got to ask God for discernment. And I'm telling you, if you give it time and not, leap into a even a job, we get you got to have 90 days to get acclimated with the person. But now we moving people in 30 days in. You know what I'm saying? 2 weeks in, when we really don't know anything about people. Because if you observe, you know how the Bible says what's done in the dark, it will come in the light. So we as women, we have to be more careful. We may have kids, I'm just saying with any type of man, not just a DL man. You want God to show you before you have all your time invested in somebody who is not right for you. So if anything, this content, you got to take everything somebody say with a grain of salt, because he could be pandering. But I just, feel like he was saying that he got a lot of girlfriends, and especially in certain cities, it's bad, especially like in Atlanta and everything. Everybody's sleeping with everybody. So if you're a person that's practicing celibacy, where you want somebody that's equally yoked, and that's another thing, how the Bible says that we should be equally yoked, right? So you got to make sure that that a person is equally yoked, right? You have the same values and everything. But I'm telling you, people lie. So as women who have encountered this situation, what can you learn from it? What can you tell going forward? Well, maybe I did this. Hey, Terrence, thank you for joining. um you said, Terrence, a lot of trauma is self-inflicted. It is. You said, in another mouth, it would be 1 year since I've been watching you. Oh, okay. God bless you. I'm trying to, make my content, just get on stream, because I love to live stream, but it's just the time. But I just gotta show up. That's what God told me. Just show up, right? So back to what I was saying, a lot of times we as women, we don't give it time, right? And you can't blame yourself for what you don't know. But when you know better, you do better, right? So when you know something is not working for you, then we all have choices as men and women. But it's important, um, you know. this is what I say with the gay community. I do have a level of respect because they're not lying about who they are, right? It's the people that's lying about who they are, or like some download men may say, I don't feel safe to come out, but I mean, okay, you may not feel safe to come out, but why drag somebody down a road with you where you have now, invested in somebody, but you're not sexually attracted to them, and you have kids and everything like that? It's just gonna make everything worse. So it's best to just, and if people can't accept you for who you are, but the download community is, I read a book about on living on the down low. I can't remember who it was by, but I read it because, like I said, you have friends and everything, people that and this has came out, right, and they found themselves in this situation. But I think the majority, I ain't gonna say the majority, but I'll say many times it's because we moving too fast. You know what I'm saying? And y'all, I've been single for 4 years. 4 years, right? I found myself, coming out of a divorce, and I'm single. I've been married almost half my life, right? And now I'm on the other side of being married. And I practice the celibacy because I'm just afraid of the diseases, the emotional trauma, and everything. I'm afraid. I can say that, but God is helping me to open up my heart to possibilities of love, right? Everybody, wants love. I'm not saying I don't, but it's a part of me is like, because people lie about who they are. But if I look back, I have to take some accountability by, allowing somebody to rush me. You may say, okay, I'm going to take my time. But then, men, once they see something, y'all, I can't, like I said, I'm not a man, but in my opinion, a lot of times if y'all want something, it's like I'm going to go after what I want. If you see something, what you want, you going to go after it. And a lot of men are like that. They don't want you to be on the market anymore, right? So they want, they pitching, right? So yeah, I'm sorry. So, I love y'all, and I want to know what y'all think about, just the trauma of the download community. The DL Whisper. What do you think about his content? Do you think it's helpful to the women? Do you think it's harmful? Do you think black? Because and I've heard other perspectives as well. One of the guys, he said, it doesn't bother me because I'm not gay. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's saying, maybe he had some truth about what he was saying. All the men wasn't bothered by his content, but it's a lot of heterosexual men that were outraged. Terrence, what do you think? Have you listened to his content? What do you think about that? You said you said a lot of trauma is self-inflicted, and I'm trying to get an understanding by what you're saying to about self-inflicted. And the only thing that I could come to think of is, being held accountable for getting involved with men that you really don't know anything about. They could be, a pedophile. They could be anything. You got to give it some time. You got to pray about it. You got to ask the Lord, is this the person that you want for me? Now, no relationship is going to be perfect. There are going to be some things, so you still have to have certain things that you're not going to compromise with. No, I don't want to be involved with a gay male. I don't want to be involved with any male who has shown an interest in another male. You have a chance to, you got to right to not to choose that, right? So I love y'all. Thanks so much for listening to my rant. Thanks so much. Thank you, Terrence. Happy Mother's Day. However you share, I know you're not a mother, but however you celebrated Mother's Day, I want to just, wish you blessings. I love you. I always pray that that I pray that the sun is shining in your life. I pray that you get the things that you're asking for. I pray that God gives you discernment. The Bible does say with everything, pray for discernment. Because God will show you things that you can't see with the naked eye. So sometimes all the time, pray for discernment. Ask God to give you discernment in every situation. God will give you a discern. He'll give you an uneasy feeling, and when He gives you that feeling, don't doubt it. Just don't move. Freeze. Don't get into things. If God is giving you signs and you're hesitating, freeze and allow God to show you what He wants to show you. Okay. So I love y'all. Thanks. Like and subscribe to my channel on Church Talk with the T. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.